Dear students, welcome to EPG Pathashala. I am Professor Korada Subramaniam from University of Hyderabad. In the paper Vedic Epic and Puranic Culture of India, now we are going to take up a module that is a panorama of Vedas. Veda means a mass of knowledge and it is considered as the most ancient literature known to humans. Unlike any other literature, the Vedic one is Apaurushaya, and that is to say not authored by human beings. An uninterrupted tradition tells us that Veda had emanated from Brahman at the beginning of creation. Since creation repeats, Veda is considered as Anadi or beginningless, Ananta, endless, and as such it is indestructible. Veda can be divided into two major parts. The first one deals with karma, that is rituals, and the second one with jnana or cognition. A careful survey of Veda leads us to believe that apart from the above two goals, Veda also offers guidelines to protect the elements, purification of mind, harmony in the society, personality development, etc. The roots of dharma can be traced to Veda. Until Vedavyasa, a sage, ventured upon the task of dividing the Veda, there was a single mass of Veda. Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda and Atharvaveda have emerged after division. Originally, Rigveda had 21 branches, Yajurveda 100, Samaveda 1000 and Atharvaveda 9 branches. Presently, only 12 branches of all Vedas are available. Rigveda contains riks or hymns that praise the deity. Yajurveda consists of yajus that are sentences that explain the performance of rituals. Samaveda is nothing but Rigveda associated with music, Samagana. Atharvaveda consists of a blend of prose and poetry. Apart from spiritual matters, Atharvaveda deals with matters of mundane importance such as health, polity, etc. also. Dichotomy of Veda. Broadly, Veda can be put under two headings, Mantra Bhaga and Brahmana Bhaga. The term mantra literally means the one that protects if recited with meditation. Mantras are used in yajnas or sacrifices and other karmas. Samhita is a synonym of Mantra Bhaga. Brahmanas explain the mantras. Aranyakas and Upanishads are also included in Brahmanas. Dichotomy of purpose. The Veda is the Vedic literature, just if you take in toto, will be useful in achieving two things, because one is the sarga that can be attained through the performance of yajnas etc. that are described and prescribed in Veda, whereas the other thing is jnanam that would lead to moksha. So, following the two kinds of purposes, Veda can be put under two headings. So, according to Mundaka Upanishad, Atharvaveda, the earlier parts of Veda and Vedangas are called Aparavidya, whereas the Upanishads are called Paravidya. Cultural background. Actually, the Vedas are the strongest literature upon which the Indian culture is based. Therefore, whatever is proposed in Vedas should be taken in terms of culture. What are they? Let us see. Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha, four Purusharthas are prescribed and described in Vedas. These are called Purusharthas. The Purusha means person, and whatever purpose is going to be served by the person or the life of a person is called Purushartha. There, the term Dharma is pregnant with meaning and cannot be translated. It has to be adopted. Dharma is dharma only. Some people use the term religion as a translation to dharma, but religion in back translation gives us matam liked by one person or a group of people, but not all. Whereas dharma is universal, that is universal means that is applicable to all the mankind irrespective of caste, religion or anything else. So, for example, Satyam Vada, speak the truth, Ahimsa Paramo Dharma, non-violence is the best dharma, etc. are examples. And then dharma as the base we have to see. See, what happens is you have said dharma, artha, kama and moksha, four purusharthas. But for all the other Purusharthas, Dharma is supposed to be the base. That means without Dharma, the rest of the three Purusharthas will become baseless. That means no purpose will be served. So, Vedic tradition clearly stands on Dharma, that is, one can attain moksha following the Dharma, and Dharma leads to Swarga and moksha, whereas Adharma would lead to Naraka or hell. Then the theory of karma. This is the very fundamental phenomenon of Indian culture. This is called Karma Siddhanta or theory of karma. Any activity associated with dharma would cause punyam, and punyam will cause in turn sukham, that is comfort, and in the next birth also that will cause, whereas the one associated with adharma causes dukkham or misery in the next birth. This is the essence of the theory of karma or karma siddhanta. Then threefold karmas. Karmas can be put under three headings, that are, first one is nitya karma, that means regularly one has to perform these karmas. These are there in Vedas. For example, Sandhya Vandanam, for example, worshipping during dawn and dusk the Aditya or sun god, who is the actually who is nothing but Brahman only. So, Agnihotram, worship of fire, Swadhyaya, recitation of Veda, etc. all called Nitya karmas. Karma is mandatory and regular. Naimittika karma is a right by an event or by any cause. Abdikam, for example, death ceremony, or Graha Pravesha, a housewarming ceremony, etc. are caused by the things, death of a person, for example, and the new house, therefore they are called Naimittika karmas. Then Kamya karmas are there. Kama means a desire. Any karma that is done with a desire is called Kamya karma. Vivaha, marriage, is for children, and Jyotishtoma, a sacrifice, is performed to attain Swarga. Such karmas are called Kamya karma. So, while the first two Nitya Naimittika are meant for Chitta Shuddhi, to cleanse in the mind, Kamya karma is to get the desired result. One may perform a Kamya karma without desire, and it then yields Chitta Shuddhi. Now, the four ashramas. There are four stages of life as per the tradition, and these ashramas are actually described in Shukla Yajurveda. So, first one is Brahmacharya ashramam, as that is a celibate has to learn Vedas, Vedangas, etc., etc., and then after that he would get married and goes to Garhasthyam, that is being living with the wife. Then Vanaprastham will be there, living in a forest with or without wife, and Samnyasam is nothing but life of a hermit. So, people belonging to the ashramas would perform all three kind of karmas mentioned earlier, whereas Nitya and Naimittika are mandatory even for a sannyasin. The term sannyasin literally means giving up kamya karmas. On the other hand, a brahmachari may skip the second and third ashramas. That means from directly a brahmachari can go to the sannyasa ashrama, the last ashrama. That means he does not want to get married or enjoy, go to vanaprastha, etc., and directly wants to attain moksha through getting jnanam by entering sannyasa ashrama. So, there are four samskaras that will start with garbhadhanam or impregnation and end with aparam or death related ritual. These are enumerated in Smritis. The four ashramas, 16 of them are considered as important. It means Shodasha samskaras are considered as important, and out of the 40 that are enumerated in Smritis. By and large, the very purpose of all karmas is achieving Chitta Shuddhi or cleansing the mind, which in turn would help in attaining moksha through jnana. So, up to this is karma, etc. we have discussed. Now, we will go to jnanam. What is jnanam? The latter part of Veda called Upanishad or Vedanta, end part of Veda literally it means advocates jnanam, which would directly lead to moksha. So, Veda Shakhas named after Rishis. This is debated like anything. hotly debated area. Some people, especially some Western scholars, have taken up terms like Kataka, Kalapaka, etc., which are associated with some Veda Shakhas, and started propagating that these Shakhas were written or authored by those Vedic rishis. Rather, in tradition, as it is clearly stated in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, all the Vedas had emanated from the Brahman, and the names of these rishis are associated with particular shakhas because they had specialized or propagated the branches named after them. So, Shabda is Nitya, it is to be. So, Veda in its full form was recited and it is there, since Shabda is Nitya. Veda Shakhas named after rishis, after some time only some branches were being learnt, rest were not known. The rishis did perform tapas, leading an ascetic life, and received certain portions of Veda, and they propagated them in the world. So, these people, these rishis are called mantradrashtaraha because or mantra krutaha, that means who propagated these mantras. Therefore, in Mimamsa and Vyakarana, etc., it is decided that Veda is apaurusheya, and that means not authored by human beings, and the names are that of specialists or propagators. So, Vedangas. Anga means limb, Vedanga means the limb of Veda. That means if you take Veda as a Veda Purusha, then these Shiksha, Vyakaranam, etc., we are going to touch are considered as the limbs of that Veda Purusha. So, there are six Vedangas and 6 darshanas which are useful in deciding the purport of Vedic sentences. So, the chart is given at the end, which tells us the 14 Vidyasthanams. The 6 Vedangas are these. Shiksha, that is phonetics. Shiksha is considered as the nose of Veda Purusha, and it deals with pronunciation or phonetics, swaras, etc., etc. Vyakaranam, roughly it is grammar. So, it is considered as the Mukham Vyakaranam Smratam, that means Veda Purusha's mouth is Vyakaranam. It deals with Shabda, that means if a Shabda, perfect Shabda is employed, one would get Punyam, Dharma and Punyam, whereas any usage of Apashabdas in the sense not acceptable to Vyakarana would certainly lead to Adharma and Naraka. Next comes Niruktam. Shabda is dealt with by Vyakaranam, whereas Artha or meaning is dealt with by Niruktam. So, this is considered as the 2 years of Veda Purusha, and the so called dictionaries, etc., are also for the first time started in Niruktam. Chandas is there. Chandas is prosody. This is considered as the 2 feet of Veda Purusha and explains the metrical details of Vedic hymns. Then comes Jyotisham, considered as the eyes of Veda Purusha. So, Jyotisham deals with the movement of stars, planets, auspicious, inauspicious time, and etc., etc. All the details of related to time, planets, etc., that are required for the performance of yajnas, yagas, and other rites. Then comes Kalpaha, the last one, 6th one. The Kalpa is nothing but Kalpyate, Bodhyate, Prayogaha, Vedamantranam, Atrayati Kalpaha. That is the definition. That means in Veda we find mantras, but how to use those mantras and where to use, that is not clearly. That means the procedural part is not technical, practical part is not said there. So, this Kalpashastra provides us with the practical part of any rite. It can be yaga, it can be something else. So, now Upangas and Darshanas, called the systems of Indian philosophy. There are 6 darshanas. Among the Upangas are important. Among them, first comes Purvamimamsa. The term Purva that refers to the earlier parts of Veda, whereas that means the earlier parts of Veda, like Mantra Brahmana Bhaga, which is related to karma leading to Swarga, is discussed in Purvamimamsa. It is also called Vakya Shastram. Uttaramimamsa or Vedanta, it deals with the latter parts of Veda. Uttara means latter. Latter means latter parts of Veda called Upanishads. That will cause attaining jnana and leading to moksha. Sankhya means jnanam, and the system deals with the 25 entities and shows the way to moksha. The next fourth one is yoga. Yoga means arresting the behavior of mind. Yoga chittavritti nirodha. That is the first sutram of Yoganuशासनम. Ashtanga yoga is yoga with 8 limbs. Is famous. Yamana yamasana pranayama pratyahara dharana dhyana samadhaya are the 8 angas of yoga. So then comes nyaya. Nyaya is deals with logic. The phenomenon of things can be known through pramanas. The means of knowledge are there, such as pratyaksham, anumanam, upamanam, shabda, and etc. So mainly 4 pramanas are accepted in Nyaya Darshanam, whereas in the 6th one, Vaisheshikam, also which also deals with logic, 7 entities, and educates the theory of atom. There are similarities between Nyaya and Vaisheshika, so they are clubbed. Then, in order to attain moksha, 3 paths are recommended. One is the bhakti, the other is karma, and the third one is jnana. But one has to keep in mind that only through jnanam one can attain moksha. Bhakti would help in chitta shuddhi and consequently would also help in attaining jnanam. Similarly, karma is also for chitta shuddhi, and also this will be useful in attaining moksha through generating jnanam. So, bhakti and karma, devotion and rituals. The third one is called jnanam. So, jnanam is nothing but cognition or spiritual knowledge. Not all kinds of cognition can be called jnanam. Here the context is very important. So, it is the earlier paths like bhakti and karma are for people who are not too intelligent. But the jnana, the mark of the path of jnanam is for people who are intelligent, who are blessed with a lot of intellect. So, learning Upanishadic texts, meditation and concentration on the meaning such texts would help one in attaining jnanam, which in turn would lead to burn the accumulated karma, that is sanchita karma, and pave the way to moksha. So, bhakti and karma slowly ka chitta shuddhi we have already discussed. Then a jnani can get his sanchita karma, the karma accrued through earlier incarnations, burnt, but has to undergo the prarabdha karma. The karma has already started in this life. Here the term karma is actually sanchita or prarabdha means the result of karma. It can be good or bad, caused by punyam or papam. So, what is Veda? People go on using the term Veda, 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 but what is Veda? How is it useful? I mean, what does it mean actually to the mankind? So, Veda is a device that provides non-mundane solutions for getting the desired things and averting the undesired ones. So, that is the definition of Veda. Now, Yaga and Yajna. These 2 terms are used frequently in Vedic literature. At one stage, Yaga and Yajna are synonyms. There is no difference whatsoever in the meaning as far as the meaning is concerned. But there will be some difference in the meaning in the context. Let us take the terms are synonyms. If you ask for Vyakarana, there is one root, verbal root, yaj. From yaj, this yaga and yajna, both the words have formed. Then there are a number of yagas described in Veda, Darshi Purnamasa, Jyotishtoma, Ashwamedha, etc., etc. One desirous of Sarga should perform the yaga, Darshi Purnamasa Abhyam, Sarga Kamaha Yajayata. That is the sentence. Now, yajna on the other hand is also used for yaga, but used in a specific sense of Panchamahayajnas. Panchamahayajnas are enumerated in Taittiriya Aranyakam. They are to be performed on a regular basis. That means Nitya Karma. Panchava ete mahayajna satati pratayante satati santishthante deva yajna pitari yajno bhota yajno manushya yajno brahma yajna iti yadagnau yahochapi samidhantadeva yajna santishthate. There are 5 mahayajnas to be performed regularly. They are Deva Yajna, Pitri Yajna, Bhota Yajna, Manushya Yajna, and Brahma Yajna. Yadagnav juhotyapi samidham taddeva yajnas santishthate. If somebody is going to drop a samit, a holy stick, into the fire, holy fire, then it is called Deva Yajna. Then it pitrubhya svadha karopyapastat pitr yajnas santishthate. See, if one is going to offer holy waters to the fathers who are dead, it is called Pitru Yajna. Yad bhutebhyo baling harati tadbhuta yajna santishthate. For creatures, if someone offers some food, then it is called Bhota Yajna. Here Bhota means creature or being. Yad brahmanebhyo nandadati tadmanusya yajna santishthate. If one offers food to the Brahmanas, then it is called Manushya Yajna. Yatsvaat jhayamadhi yedayagame priyanya jussamavad brahma yajna santishthate. If one is going to recite either a single rik from Rigveda or Yajus from Yajurveda or a single Sama from Samveda, that is called Brahma Yajna. So all these 5 yajnas are called Panchamaha Yajnas, and one has to perform them on a regular basis. Then these Deva Yajna and Pitru Yajna, these are already explained. So at least one samit, a small stick to sacrifice specific trees to be offered to Agni. And Pitru Yajna is nothing but offering waters, etc., holy waters, etc., to the forefathers. Then next one is Bhota Yajna, offering food, etc. Vedas are multifaceted and universal. People should not think that the Vedas are meant for only some people, etc. If you conduct a careful survey of even the available Vedic literature, we come across a number of issues. There is creation, not only karma and jnana, but also creation, non-pollution of the 5 elements, non-polluted mind, personality development, social unity, treatment of elders, conjugal relationship, polity, economic prosperity, etc., which are not directly confined to spiritual life but are essential in maintaining universal peace, health, hygiene, prosperity and unity. So now here are some suktas. There are some popular suktas are there in Rigveda and other Vedas. So for example, Nasadiya Suktam from Rigveda is there. Na asat, nasad asit, asat na asit. It was not asat. At first means the perishable mundane world. Na asit. That is called Nasadiya. So nasada, nasat, nasadiya sukta. So it is called Nasadiya. There are 2 things, Sat and Asat. Literally, Sat means the one that exists and Asat means that does not. So here what happens, both these words frequently occur in Vedas, Darshanas, and in other words, the term Sat is used to denote Brahman. Satyatyatya bhavatau, etc. There are sentences which simply clearly tell us that Sat means Brahman only. Then Asat means the universe is referred to as Asat. Then knowing Sat or Jnanam, a subsequent measure of Jivatma with Paramatma, is called Moksha. And Shanti Mantra consists of several sentences, such as mantra has to be recited at the beginning and end of the respective chapter. Sahana bhavatu, sahano bhanaktu, sahaviryam karavavahi, etc. are pronounced both at the beginning and end of the respective chapter. The word Om called Pranava has to be prefixed to every mantra. Om Vishadane. Om has to be recited before every mantra. At the end of Shanti mantra, the term Shantihi has to be performed thrice. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Why 3 times? Here the first one is to have peace by averting the Adhyatmika kleshas, difficulties related to mind and body. The second one is to ward off the Adhibhautika kleshas, the difficulties caused by other beings, and the third one is for preventing the difficulties caused by natural calamities called Adhidaivika kleshaha. Then meaning of the Shanti mantra of Nasadiya Suktam is given next. Then there was no death. The translation is of Nasadiya Suktam is being given. And then Purusha Suktam. Purusha Suktam, here Purusha means Brahman only. Purusha Suktam is available in all the Vedas, and the Suktam which is related to Purusha can be traced to a Vedas. The Purusha also, Virat Purusha called, has got innumerable hands, eyes and feet. That means he is spread, he pervaded everything in the universe, and everywhere he is available. And the meanings, yes, Rig Veda, the Yajnavalkya Maitreyi Samvada, the discussion between Yajnavalkya and Maitreyi is very famous. So, Yajnavalkya, just like me, if you also want Vairagyam, detachment, and Mumukshatvam, the desire for moksha, then I shall explain the device called Jnanam for attaining moksha. Yajnavalkya tells Maitreyi, and this is all the text that is there in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. In Rigveda, at the end, Samaniva Akutihi, Samana Hridayanivaha, Samanamastuvo Mano Yathavassu Sahasati. That is clear. Let the desires of all of us be the same. Let the hearts of all of us be the same. Let the thoughts, etc. And let us unite and become good friends. So, that like this, if you learn this lesson module, then you will be in a position to understand the actual structure of Veda, the purpose of Veda, different things that are discussed in Veda, and what is the what are the social and cultural points that are very important to understand and follow taking up the Vedic culture, or all these things are explained. And thank you very much. For more details, please visit the website of EPG Pathashala, and thank you very much. Shubham Bhuyat.